blue light of the screen casts a soft glow across your face in the dark room. It's 2:17 a.m., and somewhere in the quiet of the night, your thumb scrolls through a stream of curated lives. Each post, each story, each carefully chosen photograph feels like a window into someone else's world. Brighter, more exciting, more meaningful than your own. You pause on a photo of friends laughing around a dinner table. The lighting is perfect, the smiles genuine, the moment captured in amber. And in that stillness, you feel it, that subtle ache, that quiet question. Why does their happiness feel like a measure of your lack? This is the modern paradox of connection. We have never been more visible, yet never felt more unseen. We build digital identities like elaborate cathedrals, beautiful, intricate, designed to inspire awe in those who pass through. But who lives inside them? The screen becomes both mirror and mask. We polish our reflections until they gleam, forgetting that the most human parts of us are often the rough edges, the vulnerable cracks, the quiet imperfections that make us real. What are we really chasing when we refresh the page, waiting for the numbers to climb? What empty space are we trying to fill with digital applause? The psychology of digital identity begins with a fundamental human need, the need to be seen, to matter, to feel that our existence leaves some mark on the world. This isn't vanity, it's vulnerability. It's the child in us who still wants to know, do I belong here? Am I enough? Social psychologist Leon Festinger called this social comparison theory, our innate tendency to evaluate ourselves by comparing to others. In the digital age, this comparison becomes infinite and relentless. We're no longer just comparing ourselves to neighbors or colleagues. We're comparing our entire lives against the highlight reels of millions. Charles Horton Cooley's concept of the looking-glass self adds another layer. He suggested that our self-concept forms through how we imagine others see us. In the digital realm, this becomes literal. We construct identities based on the feedback loops of likes, comments, and shares. The self becomes a reflection of reflections, a hall of mirrors where the original person grows increasingly distant. The paradox emerges. We seek validation to feel more real, yet the very act of performing for validation makes us feel less authentic. We become actors in our own lives, carefully staging moments for an audience that may not even be watching. This isn't about technology being inherently bad. It's about how ancient human needs collide with modern tools, creating new forms of psychological terrain we're still learning to navigate. Let's sit with this discomfort for a moment. The psychology of digital validation operates on multiple levels simultaneously, each revealing something profound about our relationship with ourselves and others. At the neurological level, every notification triggers a dopamine release, the same chemical reward system activated by food, sex, and social bonding. We're literally wired to seek approval, and digital platforms have become the most efficient delivery system for this neurological currency ever invented. But here's where it gets complicated. Attachment theory helps us understand that our patterns of seeking validation often mirror our earliest relational templates. Those who grew up with inconsistent emotional availability might find themselves compulsively checking for digital reassurance, trying to fill an emotional void that technology cannot truly satisfy. The anxious attachment style becomes the endless scroll. The avoidant attachment becomes the carefully curated distance. The looking-glass self becomes distorted in the digital mirror. We start to believe the polished version we present online, creating what psychologists call the false self, a persona designed to win approval rather than express authenticity. The gap between who we are and who we perform grows wider, and with it, the loneliness deepens. Social comparison theory takes on new dimensions when the comparisons are endless and algorithmically curated. We're not just comparing ourselves to realistic peers. We're comparing our messy, unedited lives to the most successful, beautiful, and interesting moments of thousands of people. The result is what researchers call compare and despair, a chronic sense of inadequacy fueled by unrealistic benchmarks. Yet, there's something beautiful in this struggle. The very fact that we seek validation speaks to our fundamental need for connection. The problem isn't the need itself, but where we're looking to have it met. We're trying to quench a deep spiritual thirst with sips of digital approval that can never truly satisfy. The algorithms understand this better than we do. They learn our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, our deepest desires for belonging, and they feed us exactly what will keep us coming back. Just enough validation to keep us hungry, never enough to make us full. This creates what psychologists call an intermittent reinforcement schedule, the same pattern that makes slot machines so addictive. We never know when the next like or comment will come, so we keep checking, keep performing, keep hoping that this time, the validation will be enough to quiet the inner critic. There comes a moment in every digital life when the performance becomes too heavy to maintain. Maybe it's late at night, when the notifications have stopped and the screen goes dark. Maybe it's when you realize you've spent an hour crafting the perfect caption for a moment you didn't fully experience. This is the turning point, not toward rejection of technology, but toward reclamation of self. What if the ache for validation isn't something to be eliminated, but understood? What if it's pointing us towards something deeper, our innate human longing for genuine connection, for being seen and accepted exactly as we are, not as we perform? The psychology becomes compassionate here. We're not flawed for wanting to be liked. We're human. The digital platforms didn't create this need. They simply amplified it, gave it new forms of expression. The real work isn't about quitting social media. It's about bringing awareness to why we use it the way we do. When we notice that tightness in our chest when a post doesn't get the engagement we hoped for, that's valuable information. It's showing us where we've outsourced our self-worth. It's revealing the places where we still believe we need external validation to feel complete. This awareness is the beginning of healing. It's the moment we realize that the digital identity we've been building was never meant to be a replacement for the real person living behind the screen. It was always just one expression of a much more complex, much more beautiful whole. The reflection in the looking glass self softens. We start to see that the approval we've been chasing was never really about other people's opinions. It was about our own acceptance of ourselves. The screen still glows, but something has shifted. The digital world no longer feels like a stage where you must perform, but a tool you can choose to use with intention. The psychology of digital identity, when understood deeply, becomes a path back to yourself. Every time you notice the urge to perform and choose authenticity instead, you're reclaiming a piece of your own wholeness. Every time you share something real instead of something perfect, you're building bridges rather than walls. The validation we sought online was always meant to be found within. The belonging we craved was never in the applause of strangers, but in the quiet acceptance of our own imperfect, beautiful humanity. This doesn't mean abandoning digital spaces. It means bringing your whole self to them, not just the polished parts, but the messy, vulnerable, real parts too. It means using technology as a means of connection rather than a substitute for it. The digital identity becomes integrated rather than performative. It becomes one expression of a multifaceted self, not the entire definition. And in that integration, something beautiful happens. The gap between who you are online and who you are offline begins to close. You realize that the most valuable validation was never external. It was always the quiet, steady knowledge that you are enough, exactly as you are, with all your complexities and contradictions. And in that realization, the digital world transforms from a place of performance to a place of possibility. Not because the platforms changed, but because you did.